No, well said. And
We
it's
can
true.
definitely, there's definitely something about ancient symbology that was used for healing, like the yin and the yang, or the Om symbols, or
Absolutely.
the chakra colors, rainbow colors, and chakra points, and chakra symbology. And
Right,
so,
because it's frequencies and it's
right,
cymatic frequencies, and the ohm is actually a full Mandela cymatic frequency geometry, and that it's these full energies that do somehow heal spiritual energy, life energy, or whatever it is, but it's what's currently missing in the West and suppressed and ignored and like
I think it's
attacked.
missing. It exists everywhere, but it's missing in
Like academia,
mass formation, in a sense. We haven't made critical mass for it to be effective. We're getting there. 15 years ago, I couldn't have the conversation with you about energy. Hey, we're energy beings. People would look at me all funny, going, "You're one of those hippy dippy new agey guys." Oh yeah.
like it's been too taboo, but it's like if you real physics, like we run on literal energy, like bioelectricity throughout, and also the spirit, the soul. Where's the consciousness? They're finding now memories not even stored in the physical brain for a lot of it, and well,
you've seen Einstein's brain, right? Have you not seen the slices of his brain? You're on mute.
So I'm not sure if I have.
So he had very little actual brain mass. The rest was fluidic. And so what you're saying is very interesting, because it's like, where is memory stored? Do we have an aura of our own Akashic record floating around us that we're, downloading from and putting into? I wrote a story when I was in high school about dreams, and I pictured them in my mind as shards of glass. And so the fresher the memory in your mind is, the larger the shard, and you would float through it, and you would remember that section of time, and then you would float into another shard, and then eventually you wake up. But the further down the spiral you go, the smaller the shards get, because the older your memories are, right? And so I've kind of always looked at dreams like being shards of our own reality, because when you dream, you remember your dreams almost as prolific as you remember real life. And so there's got to be something there where maybe we're surrounded by our own, storage device or battery cell or something that we just cannot see. It's part of that neutron, proton, or neutron electron transfer. One goes into the ether and comes back with information. It's like, well, what's in that ether? Because we're not able to go in there, but maybe this is where some of our, our own physical Akashic records exist. Who knows?
Right. Well, it's dream time. It's like universal all time. It's essentially heaven and hell, but in the duality, because it all exists together. And like you said, it's like we're in the moment are different shards, they're different fractals of time, of the now, and the memories and the moments. But that's how individuals are able to raise their consciousness, where you go into from our third dimensional conscious into your fourth dimensional, what they try to claim subconscious, but really you're getting out of body, and then you're starting to be able to do your consciousness over time space, the quantum, the fourth dimension, right? So then you're astral projecting, you're connecting with source or the Akashic or whatnot, and that's just
astral projection brings up an interesting point, because astral projection is you projecting your consciousness or your energy being, or potentially even your physical being, into different dimensions, realms, time, space, planets, solar systems, galaxies, universe. A question has come up recently for me about, do I believe that extraterrestrial life is from other planets or stars? Sure, I'm imagining we can't be the only ones here. Obviously, as Carl Sagan always put it, if we find a piece of bacteria in space, then there's life teeming in the universe. And we found a bacterial transfer in the Viking missions in 1975 on Mars, and water, but we keep going back there saying we just found water for the first time. And we've also found,
even though there's ice caps that are shrinking, thus turning into water and atmosphere.
Yep. And on the first Hayabusa probe, not the second, but on the first one, the gel pack that was sent back to Earth had bacteria on it. So
But all
right
these
there,
things
we
documented.
can't be alone. But then the question is, how do we traverse, time and space? Well, if in Buddhist philosophy we're able to astral project, isn't that us becoming an interdimensional being to some other civilization? So are the entities that are here interdimensional was the question. And it's like, well, if we have the ability to astral project or free form into somebody else's body in another world or another, system based on these philosophies that it's in their literature, you know, the question is why couldn't another race do the same thing here? Like we talked about the other night, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about like these radio signals being received from space. I kind of got ridiculed a little bit, it was in joke, but Mike Barra kind of laid into me. He's like, why would alien races be using radio signals? Well, we're using them.
Exactly.
And
There's
so
all
what are they sending us? And so then all of a sudden we've received all these shortwave bursts. This was like 2017 and 2018. NASA's saying, well, we've discovered this synthetic DNA that we are trying to use to discover alien life. And so it's like, okay, so we've got physical nuts and bolts transportation across the universe, which could be sluggish, could be, faster than whatever. There's the laws of momentum. There's, the faster than light technologies. There's one way to travel, nuts and bolts. We have astral projection. This is interdimensionality. So a lot of the interdimensional beings that we've discovered here on Earth, or that people have had experiences with, could also be from here on Earth. It could be somebody astral projecting. And so all of a sudden you have an interdimensional being coming, giving you messages, similar to what you see in the Golden Child. This child goes into meditation and he projects himself to Eddie Murphy's character in a tree floating, and basically is calling for help, but he can only project himself. And so this is an astral projection. But then we also have the ability of, projected panspermia, where, you latch some DNA in a spore on the side of an asteroid and it crashes into a water-bearing planet. What are the odds of that? And all of a sudden life happens
here many times.
Yeah, well, correct. And so all of a sudden life happens because of that interaction, that alchemical event. But then we also have this weird technological event. Well, if we could send the blueprint of ourselves across the universe or across the galaxy or even across a solar system and say, hey, here we are. This is what we look like. Here's our synthetic DNA. Please give us a consciousness. And we, then we can project into that consciousness. Boom. Here we are. They're walking amongst us, looking like us, smelling like us, acting like us, but it's like a telepresence robot, but a telepresence consciousness through it's not even technology in a sense. It is, but it isn't. I don't know where to describe it. It's almost a transhuman.
It's like a demigod technology or higher dimension.
It's an avatar. Okay, it's an avatar. That's a good way of looking at it. Yeah, it's literally an avatar, and so, oof. That gets into some sticky subjects. So yeah,
it really does. But it's also, it gives dimensionality as like a scaling system and explaining a lot of different people's experiences in the everyday today, as well as ancient writings, as well as a lot of religious and holy writings, right? So it's like, it's been intentionally put as taboo and like suppressed by the mainstream of ignore that side of your reality. It's crazy. You're crazy. No, take these drugs. And the drugs often, right, it's like they'll either give you this huge downer, which takes you down to this like a two-dimensional consciousness where it's only act react, like it's emotional reaction. It's either fight or flight. It's like good or bad, right? Like destroy or live, one or the other, where we're naturally three-dimensional, where you're also then making your own choice out of it. You think about it, and then when you're on a higher fourth dimension, then you start thinking, how do we affect others? What does this do in time? How will this affect in the future and the past, right? So it's like, that's one of the reasons, or it's part of the machine cogging us down constantly, of making sure every day when you wake up, you forget who you are, that you don't recognize that you are this eternal soul, this being that exists throughout all of space-time. You are powerful, you have connection to this, and get yourself to that highest elevated conscious vibration, right? And that's why people will have a coffee when they wake up, a stimulant, to try to get yourself lifted up more. But if you're taking that coffee and you're also taking a downer so that you're down on the second vibration, you're stimulated to act, react only, be triggered, but never think about what you're actually doing and how it affects her. And you're surrendering your third dimensional right of self-will, and only then reacting and being triggered, feeding into this machine, into the matrix of control. And that you have to remember your eternal spirit, soul, and connection to creator, and the matrix of space-time that we all exist through every day.
That's why getting off of those SSRIs is key. I'll be vulnerable. I witnessed some horrific events during the revolution in Nepal, democracy 1990, and it was pretty bad. And because of it, I went into PTSD. And when I first moved to the States, I had a relapse, and my family kind of hauled me away to OHSU, and they put me on Zoloft, of all things. And
right, like right there. And
this is around the time that Phil Hartman was murdered by his wife. Sad, rest in peace, Phil. We loved you on Saturday Night Live. His wife was on cocaine and Zoloft binge and went after him. Regardless, so here I am on Zoloft. I'm in my apartment, and I have no appetite. I can't sleep. I can't work. I can't exercise. I have zero sexual desires. And I felt like, I was in this zone, and I had to take myself off of it.
Absolutely.
Right.
Like,
I can't feel like this. I wasn't, I didn't agree to the program in the first place, but all right, I'll give it a whirl to see if it brought me down even more, and it was very depressing. And
it's literally a depressant. It's draining your energy. It's doing exactly that. And I feel like
we're boosting your serotonin. The hell you are.
Right. And it's oh man, and that's exactly why I myself am in the middle of the battle of finally getting off of the Suboxone, which is an opiate, which is that downer as well. The exact same thing. They put me on that. Oh, you're off opiates now. No, that's an action. Doesn't get you high, but you're still down. It's still a downer. It's still an opiate 100%. And that's been the driving force of myself being like, no, I need to get the F off of this. And why, after being stuck at 6 milligrams that they put me on for 5 years, that over the last 3 months now I'm down to a 0.5 of a milligram. So that's I guess 92
power, man. Power
down.
To you.
Yeah, that's
you'll get there.
Yeah, before the end of the year, I will be fully off of it.
Start going to the sauna, man. Do some serious hardcore sauna detoxes.
Oh, I don't really talk about it, but I do. And behind Tesla, there is a sauna in Bernie's basement.
That actually was the one thing that almost every house I went to when I lived in Calgary had. They had a sauna. And they had the weird plug-in-the-wall hose that you can vacuum your rooms with.
Yeah, the central vac. I have both of those. Welcome to Calgary.
However, when I lived in Hawaii, I saw one of the most amazing systems ever. And so it was in this multi-million-dollar house off of Baldwin Avenue. My girlfriend at the time was doing, she was a cleaner for Airbnbs, and this was one of the properties that she worked on. And this thing had the most amazing cleaning system. So it would open up these vents in the wall, and it would blow out a puff of dust. And then it was like a Dyson vacuum would suck everything back in. And you're just like, wow, that was quick. And it's spotless in here, because in Hawaii, you get a lot of the red earth dust that comes in, and all the salt sand that's on the wind. And that was like the most amazing cleaning system I've ever seen in my life. I'm sure it cost, an arm and a leg, but it was super amazing and efficient.
I like the sounds of that, while simultaneously, I'm sorry, I'm a bit distracted and mind blown at what the F is this? Demonology Illuminati Egypte and Aranubis fat in the year 56713 QA in the year of your Lord 2022 Nosfera Millennium Alphabet Vampires Hominis. Like, yet this alphabet thing is like, it's something I've kind of been decoding in alchemy, and like that's like barcode style wild like this is just
Someone has had too much fun with graph paper.
I don't know if there might be something to that. Interesting to look into.
Yeah, send me that. Actually, I like symbols like that. I like to
Right,
see
but
what
it's
I'm
like,
looking at.
but it says vampire, but it's like, is that like demon language potentially as well, like with the Solomonic seals and all of that? Like, it's very
Well, that was
sketchy.
the whole key with Solomon's seals, and it's interesting that he didn't really have any healing seals either. I've been plowing through that book over and over again, and it's just like, okay, so all these are either to entice angelic beings or ensnare demonic beings, and so it's almost like a Ghostbusters unit. You're drawing them in, and then you're storing them in this sealed Merkaba energy of sorts. Almost like
Yeah,
the messages in water. I mean, in a sense, that's kind of what it is. You project that spell onto the water and then you freeze it, and it creates either beautiful harmony or chaos.
right. And it's like, to bring back a shard of ice and a shard of time, and like, are you freezing and summoning a demon or entity on these like shard crystals of time, bringing it in and then melting it into our reality, and poof, you've got that physical energy entity now in that time space, right? Very deep metaphysical occult stuff right there.
Yeah, I don't only talk about the trope.
Oh, well, here we go. Archangel Raphael, the healer,
Yeah,
Metatron,
these
the
are all
anoint,
Solomons. A lot of these
right?
are
So,
Solomonic
there's
symbols.
only one healer, and that's Raphael.
Hmm.
You got a cross on each corner going in, and then what looks like a freaking
XOXO,
circuit. Like, that looks like,
the double son of gold. Yeah, okay.
well, and also the right hand rule of currents and like circuitry. That's
But it's
pretty.
balanced. That's the interesting
It's
part.
completely balanced, right?
Yeah.
Big time.
Hmm.
Yes.
When I have my Uriel in the morning, I feel wise.
Need more of Rigel, the peacemaker, as well.
Interesting. Vanity. Here I am. I'm beautiful.
Right? Very, like, the merciful.
I
That's
wish I
also
had my library behind me. I'd pull out a book by I think it's Jacek Jerka. No, that's not who it is. I gotta look this up real quick.
very,
The
very.
second
Those are
word.
pleasant signs, pleasant sigils, especially to look at.
Book.
Right?
His name
Well,
is-
Digital
there it is.
Revolution, good question. In that, definitely the star forts, and like how most of them are made out of either these advanced ancient bricks, geopolymer blocks, and huge megalithic mixtures, or like silicon based geology and rocks, that they are essentially giant frozen waveforms and the actual cymatic patterns that any water now going in them or energy going around it would then resonate back out as those forever solidified
structure. Interesting.
Yeah, structured geometries.
It's like you were saying Om earlier. You ever see those sand plates when somebody like will chant Om and it creates the vibration of the
right, the
cymatics,
frequency
insane. So
geometry of
there's something
Om.
going on with that with star forts as well, whether it's where they're
Exactly that.
located or a lot of them are located next to waters. So interesting.
So now look at this Atlantean alchemy symbols. Also saying something Egypt, also looking very similar, just a little bit more advanced than those vampiric Illuminati ones.
Yeah, what's with the squares?
Right, like interesting stuff.
You're boxing your dark energy. What is this? This is some book. Yeah, interesting.
Yes, sir.
With fake water-stained parchment paper.
Oh yeah, of course, with the digital scroll background, the reeds.
I've used that texture before on many a flyer.
All right, well, makes it look.
So this is all Sudoku magic, which is interesting because this is not just European, but it's like Sudoku's.
Thank you, Dave Waffle. Oh, shout out Dave's Waffle. Sorry.
99 cents. Let's go.
You crazy mother. Yeah.
It's just BurnEye.
Hey, BurnEye just like last week, huh?
Weekend at Bernie's.